What's going on, guys? Welcome on back to Second and Short. I am Tyler Lauder, joined with my co-host Aaron Ben, and today is Monday Movers for Week 6 of the NFL season.
Monday Movers.
Aaron, before we start diving into all these ups and downs, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Kind of grossed out because you just talked to me for like 12 minutes about your nose hairs, but I'm doing very good. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Somebody called me in the middle, so I had to hang up. So I didn't hear anything you said. I'm sure it was only super nice things that you were saying about me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But let's just jump on into this because, to be honest, I don't think anybody that listens actually cares about how we're feeling emotionally or mentally and everything. So that's cool. But so let's jump on in. Monday Movers. Let's talk about our ups. And the first moving up is the 5-0 undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers. More specifically, their defense. They dominated the Cleveland Browns yesterday. They made it look like it was every other year that they play each other, not like it was a 4-1 versus a 4-0 team.
The Browns kind of came into this game with some swagger, like they're 4-1. They've got this awesome run game. Baker Mayfield's looking decent, and then they came in and they got squashed 38-7. It was pretty brutal. Mayfield threw a nasty pick six. Steelers kept up their sack production, had another 4 sacks. Still leading the league, 24 sacks. And still second place in terms of yards per game allowed, just behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This front seven is looking brutal. They did lose Devin Bush to a torn ligament or a torn tendon, so he's going to probably be out for the season, but still, this front seven especially is nasty.
Yeah, it is. And coming into this game, there's reports out there that Baker Mayfield potentially wouldn't be playing because he's dealing with rib injuries. In my opinion, his ribs are broken, but you can't do anything on broken ribs other than do nothing or just play through it. So I believe he has broken ribs right now. And Baker Mayfield is, trying to show that he is a tough man. He's a leader. He's going to fight for his team. They're 4-1. You have to. And he was getting hit so much. He only got sacked 4 times, but the Steelers were in his face the entire time he was playing. And he was on the ground way more than I was. As a coach, I would not be comfortable with him being in there that long. The Pittsburgh Steelers defense, if you checked out what we said on our Fantasy Fridays, we were correct here. I said, don't play Kareem Hunt. The Steelers have a nasty run defense, a nasty pass rush. They're just great this year. They only allowed 75 yards rushing on 22 attempts. That's good for 3.4 yards.
And if you've got this defense that's just loaded with big names. I mean, Cameron Hayward has been producing there for years. He's been on the defense. Stephen Tuitt, Devin Bush, great young player. Bud Dupree had 2 sacks yesterday. It's just loaded with talent. I didn't even mention T.J. Watt or Joe Hayden's also playing at a high level. I mean, you've just got everywhere you go on that defense, loaded with talent, loaded with big name players. It's going to be, I tell you what, the Titans play them next week, and I got to say, I'm terrified of playing that team.
I mean, you forgot about Minka Fitzpatrick, who got that pick 6 for 33 yards. I mean, that trade for Minka Fitzpatrick, when we first saw it, was man, that's a very weird trade. He was just drafted for a first round. Normally, players' value kind of drops a little bit after they're drafted. And the Steelers went out, bought him for a first round pick, and he has been delivering ever since. And here's the most impressive thing about this Steelers defense. Through 5 games, they've only allowed 94 points.
Especially in this day and age where teams are easily scoring 30 points a game. To only have that many points through 5 games, just nuts. It's going to be a really good game next week when you get this defense matching up against the Titans offense.
It's funny you say that because that is our next up. The Titans offense, Tennessee Titans and Ryan Tannehill. Their offense is getting a big up from us this week. Here's the thing. Yes, they're 5-0. They've been playing well this whole season, but for some reason, we haven't been talking about them, which is funny because you're a Titans fan, and I don't know if you're being modest or you're being nice or whatever, but we really haven't been talking about this team, and this offense is nasty. If you take away Derrick Henry's 94-yard rushing touchdown, he still ran for over 100+ yards without that touchdown.
Yeah, I've been trying not to be a homer and choose my team every week, but this week hard to pass them up, hard to ignore what they did. First team in history to have over 350 yards passing and 200 yards rushing from one player. It was just an onslaught. I mean, people know that Derrick Henry's good. People know like he has 3 200-yard rushing games since 2018, and the rest of the league combined has 3. We know Derrick Henry's a monster, truck-sized man, bolder than stiff arms anyone. And like we know that Tannehill has been playing out of his mind, but when you put those together, I feel like people categorize them in two different spots, but those two together have just been amazing. Offense went for over 600 yards last night against the Texans. Everything was clicking. Tannehill had he lost a fumble, got sacked. He had kind of a bad interception. Wasn't a really well-placed ball. But, I mean, the offensive line has been playing well. Even when Taylor Lewan went down yesterday, the offensive line continued to protect well, continued to block well for Derrick Henry, for Jeremy McNichols. Everyone was on point last night.
Here's the thing. You know how good a team can be offensively. Like when they have, like Ryan Tannehill, not only did he have that bad interception, he lost a fumble as well. So he had 2 major turnovers, and this team was still able to win the game. That's what's impressive there. Because if you go to a different game, like I'm a Panthers fan, Teddy Bridgewater had 2 crucial interceptions, and that was the direct result on why they lost. Here, 2 turnovers, and they still find a way to win. 30 for 41 on completions and attempts, 364 passing yards for 8.9 yards an average. His QBR was 83.5. It's even more impressive that they were able to outduel Houston, considering the fact Deshaun Watson was near perfect on the day when you look at a QBR and how well they play. Overall, this Tennessee Titans offense is deadly. They're dangerous. We were talking about them last year that they were a good team because, you can run the ball and you have a good defense. And here's the best part. Your defense doesn't hold up. You got a quarterback that can now deliver. Like, it's amazing. Sorry, I'm rambling for a little bit. It's amazing what a quarterback can do when Adam Gase isn't breathing on their neck.
I got to give a huge shout out to Arthur Smith, Titans offensive coordinator. This is a guy that, we are kind of going long on this part, but I just got to point out, not a real well-known commodity. Probably be on a couple coaching lists this coming off season for head coaching positions. But this is a guy who worked his way up. He used to be a defensive quality control assistant on the Titans. Slowly worked his way up. He was tight end coach, and now he finally last season got his chance as offensive coordinator. But his play call has, aside from a few questionable plays, his play call has been outstanding. And I got to point out real quick just the play that won them the game in overtime. Derrick Henry out of the Wildcat to run it in on 3rd down from the 5-yard line. Huge balls. Love the play call.
And talking about huge balls, let's talk about 2 huge balls. And this is
my left nut,
Aaron Rodgers. Right. Hold on a second. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to transition this because 2 huge balls. Aaron Rodgers threw his first 2 interceptions. Both were major turnovers, one for a pick 6. That sounds like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are our next up. And they destroyed Aaron Rodgers. That transition's not clean, but I don't care. I'm leaving it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers destroyed the Green Bay Packers yesterday. After going down 10-0, it became interception, and momentum had shifted. And next thing you know, it's 28-10 at halftime. Tampa Bay cruises to a victory. They are looking deadly as a whole.
To be honest, this game kind of reminded me of back in, I think it was 2015, when Aaron Rodgers had that just really awful game against the Denver Broncos. The same kind of stats. Tampa Bay defense has been great all season. They lead the league in yards, like we mentioned earlier, yards per game allowed. They're second in the league in sacks. And Tom Brady, after kind of a shaky start in the first game of the season, has come back roaring, ready to go. He's been great in that Bill Arians offense. I love seeing that. I mean, you saw what Arians did with Jameis Winston. Now that he's got his own Hall of Fame quarterback in Tom Brady, he's just letting it go, throwing touchdown after touchdown. the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they look like a complete team all around. Ronald Jones rushed for over 100 yards. They had over 150 yards rushing as a team yesterday. It just looked like everything's clicking for them.
It really was. And about that whole loss against the Saints in week 1, I really don't give a lot of credit to any team that won or lost. Like, I don't hold anything against them in week 1, considering the fact that we had no preseason games. We had no real preseason training or offense or anything to get ready. Like, week 1 essentially was like a rehearsal dinner before the big wedding, And I honestly think that if they played again today, they might actually beat the Saints. Tampa Bay is looking like the best team in the NFC South right now. They're just playing really well. Like, everything, like you said, Tom Brady's fitting well in Bruce Arians' offense. And we even see like guys like Ronald Jones has back-to-back 100-yard games. He's playing well. Everybody's saying this guy is going to get benched for, rookie Keyshawn Vaughn. And then they bring in Leonard Fournette, and they bring in LaShawn McCoy. Like, they keep bringing guys in, and everybody's like, oh, Jones is going to lose his job. And here he is, back-to-back weeks playing well. It's just, everything's good. The rookie addition of Antoine Winfield Jr. out of Minnesota is looking like one of the best safety pickups of this draft. This is a guy that everybody was surprised didn't go in the first round. And he's proving it right now how well he fits in with this defense as well.
First time that we're actually seeing Rob Gronkowski kind of show up since he came out of retirement. Had 5 catches, had just about 80 yards, a touchdown. Looking kind of like he's coming back, remembering how to play the game. Looking better than he has all season. Yeah,
and last thing before we get out of here, that is only Aaron Rodgers' 3rd career pick 6. So that's just a little fun fact for you guys on top of that. I'll make sure to message Gronkowski since you're giving him a special shout out. Let him know that you gave him a shout out today on the episode. I'm sure he'll be happy about that.
When he listens to the episode once it drops. So.
All right, you guys know what it is. It's time to get away from all this positivity and happiness. Let's get some negatives on here. Let's just start dogging on some people. And let's start with the easiest team to dog on, and that's the Minnesota Vikings. Lead us off, Aaron.
Well, we talked about it before, but the Vikings they're probably one of the most disappointing teams this season. They just lost to an Atlanta Falcons team who just fired their head coach. Lost 40-23. Vikings defense has been a shell of its former self after losing a couple key players this offseason. Kirk Cousins, well, he threw for over 300 yards, but that was mostly in garbage time. Most of his interceptions came before any of his touchdowns. And the interceptions kind of weren't his fault. One was a tipped pass. I think another one kind of the defender outmuscled the receiver. But I mean, without Dalvin Cook, who seemed to be like the lifeblood of the offense, they really couldn't get anything going.
No, they couldn't. And here's the thing. With these interceptions, yes, one of them was bad. The other one, a cornerback just literally worked his butt off harder than the receiver did, jumped the route. He almost dropped the interception anyways, somehow held on with his body and his leg and everything. And then the third one, I mean, Cousins was getting pressured like crazy, and the ball his hand got hit as he was throwing it 2 seconds after the ball was snapped. Here's the thing. And I keep saying this every week, and we've been saying this for a while, that we talk about the Vikings. Anytime we talk about them, this offensive line is not very good. Like, yeah, I get it. And this is what everybody's going to argue with right now, and I'm going to shut you all down. Well, Dalvin Cook has a lot of rushing yards, and Alexander Madison did really well last week when he went down. Yeah, those guys aren't north and south runners. They move side to side, and they're able to create more yards for themselves. So let's give more credit to those running backs and less to this offensive line, because there were so many times I saw Cousins hike the ball, and before I could say Kirk Cousins quarterback, he was already getting touched as he was throwing the ball. Like, that's how quick it was. It's insane. And this Falcons pass rush isn't amazing. We just saw Teddy Bridgewater throw for over 300 yards on them. So, I mean, it's not, and he never even got touched. He was pretty much had, hours back there, days. So down for the Minnesota Vikings as a whole. We talked about the defense before. The offense also disappointed. There are some bright points. Justin Jefferson looked great out there. There you go. You were able to score some points in garbage time to make this not look like a 40-15 game. On the year, the Minnesota Vikings have allowed 192 points.
That's a lot of points, Tyler.
All right, let's move on to another team that is moving down, and this team is already kind of down for us, and they're just going to keep falling down, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Unfortunately, we saw some things from these guys in week 1, thought it was good. They've been fighting, they held in with Tennessee, and it's just not there anymore. I mean, unfortunately, they are who we thought they were.
They are, and I mean, you said it yourself just a few minutes ago, you can't really give a whole lot of credit to wins or losses in week 1 this season. So, I mean, the Jaguars won their preseason game against the Colts, and they just kind of crapped the bed since. Gardner Minshew, he's not looked bad this year, but, I mean, last night did not look very good. Touchdown and an interception, 70.5 passer rating. It's kind of an all-around not impressive performance from the Jaguars, both on defense, giving up 34 points, and on offense. They just kind of look like the team everyone thought they would be coming into the season, just kind of tanking.
Yeah, and we're just kind of it's that's the thing here, because realistically they have been getting rid of talent over the past couple of years, constantly bringing in guys that are here to kind of help their team a little bit, but not really get them over this bottom seller team. And it's unfortunately looking like they are going to have a high draft pick yet again. And this could be a good thing for them. Maybe they address that offensive line. Maybe they get some more talent on defense. But Gardner Minshew's got to start doing something to keep his job. And what that means in my eyes is he's got to get them to like 4 wins on the season. 4 wins, I think, takes them out of the top 5 this year, and will move them away from those top 2 quarterbacks. Because if they fall in the top 3 or 4, I don't see a way that the Jags don't take a quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's Trevor Lawrence especially, but maybe even Justin Fields. They're not going to be able to pass them up, even with Gardner Minshew, unless he pulls something out of his ass the next 10 games.
And yeah, so the Jacksonville Jags are moving down. They are in our bottom 5 right now, 4 teams, and we got to see more consistent play. Big props to the Detroit Lions, who are 2-3. They're playing pretty well. DeAndre Swift had a coming out party. Welcome to the NFL, rookie. And last team on our downs, not really a team, it's just injuries as a whole, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. I do not know who is their strength and conditioning coach. I don't know who's their medical team. But for some reason, if you go play in Philly, you're going to get hurt.
Yeah, today they lost another 2 starters, Miles Sanders and Zach Ertz. Both left the game with injuries. I think I read somewhere that they're down to like 2 starters that were originally supposed to start the game. Week 1, we talked about how their entire offensive line pretty much was hurt, gave up like 12 sacks to the Redskins. It's just looking like one of those years. I think that the Chargers had a year like that a couple years ago, and looks like it's the Eagles' turn.
Yeah, and I mean, let's give them credit where credit is due. They hung in this game with, the Baltimore Ravens. They scored late. They scored 22 points in the 4th quarter. I mean, I don't want to dog on their playing because they played well, and that's not why they're down. They're down because they can't stay healthy. And in the NFL, if you can't stay healthy, a couple things happen. You either lose your job to somebody else, or your team doesn't do very well, and you guys are drafting early, and guess what? That means they draft a rookie to take your job. So find a way to stay healthy if you want to be competitive. If you want to keep your job, Philadelphia Eagles are getting it down for us because they can't stay healthy. And if you can't stay healthy, you can't win games. Simple as that. And that is going to do it for us here on Second and Short for our Monday's movers of Week 6 of the NFL season. Thank you guys for listening, and be sure to tune in on Friday when we talk about our Fantasy Friday picks and give you guys some insight on who we think can help your team and who will hurt your team if you keep them in. Make sure to click that subscribe button down below to let us know, to stay up to date on all things that are Second and Short. Leave us a like because it's the cheapest way that you can support us. Maybe give us a comment telling us who you guys have moving up and down after Week 6 of the NFL season. And if you want to see more of us, check us out on
social media. All social media. We're on Facebook, where we update every single episode. We're on Twitter, where we try to post polls and kind of interact, see what you guys think, and also Instagram, where we have weekly posts and posting polls and everything, discussion points, news updates, things like that. And feel free to send us a DM wherever you want, whenever you want, whatever platform. And
thank you guys for listening, and enjoy the rest of your week.